I'm Tom Fisher, the lead outcome critical thinking mentor, and I'm here with Beth Wheeler, who is the BCC critical thinking outcome mentor, and we wanted to give you a brief introduction to the scope and what's happening with the scope, and some discussion about the different things we'll be doing in the implement year and the purpose of norming in the implement year. Okay. The purpose of the scope now is to get a snapshot of where a large sample of our students are at in the specified SLO for particular high enroll gen ed courses. The original plan was to get a snapshot in the 100 level courses and then a snapshot in the 200 level courses. Right now we pretty much have concentrated just on the 100 level. There's no plans on yet of expanding it to 200 level. But specifically, the assessment here is not to evaluate or track individual student progress or to evaluate faculty or instructor performance. And it's to, specifically, we want to start conversations and collaborations between faculty and instructors about classroom practices. So a lot of the discussions we're having really are intended to do that, to help improve teaching. Let me talk about the 3-year cycle so you get a bigger picture of where we're at. We're in the implement year at present, but let me go ahead and just briefly go over some of these. The development year is we have a pilot group of at least one faculty and one instructor per campus and online. And we get together, and our charge is to develop an assessment and a project and a rubric. We then pilot the assignment and norming assignment and rubric to test to see if it's working, if it's really measuring what we think it's measuring, if it's basically working to our satisfaction. The implement year, the charge is for instructors and faculty to collaboratively practice norming student artifacts to form a consensus on how they should be scoring them. And so we usually practice norming or scoring these outside of the meeting, then bring them to the meeting and see what kind of consensus we have. And if there's differences in how we're norming, then what is the reason for that? So we look at the justifications for our differences in scores. Okay. We'll have the assignments that will be administered in the classrooms, scored and submitted to the SLC, and then we'll have a database for them for the next year to analyze. During the analysis year, we evaluate whether the assignment and rubric should be changed to improve assessment of the SLO. And these changes may occur as a result of analyzing the data from the implement year and collaboratively having discussions about the effects of the assignment. So we should have plenty of graphics, plenty of data from all 3 campuses that we can look at, start to analyze what it's saying about our students or what it's saying about our assignment and rubric, and whether we're actually succeeding in our efforts to assess what we are set out to assess in student learning.
So you're on pause.
Oh.
You hit pause again.
Okay.
It's going to give you the countdown, but it's not.
Let me introduce you to the assignment and the rubric. What is norming? Now, there's 3 different purposes of norming in each of the years: in implement, developing, and in analysis, and they all kind of serve different functions. So I think it's important to have a little discussion about it. Norming is a conversation between instructors, faculty, and evaluating how the students respond to assignments and how those responses align with the rubric. Okay. What's the purpose of norming during the development year? Conversations between instructors and faculty serve to determine how to tweak the assignment and the rubric so both reflect what students are being asked. Determine whether the assignment and rubric measures important and meaningful skills as determined by the instructors or faculty. and stimulate conversations about different teaching practices in the classroom. All of this is done in the effort to construct and revise an assignment and rubric.
Hi everyone, it's Beth, and Tom and I are switching off in this presentation so that we can you can hear a different voice. Maybe that's why. But I want to talk to you about norming during the implementation year. Tom left off talking about the development year. So the way that we use the rubric will change during our norming session for implement year, because what we want to do is make sure that we all understand what we're looking for in the student artifacts as a group, not as individual instructors. So the conversation will focus on giving you practice with the rubric and aligning that rubric with the student samples. And then you'll also learn how to interpret the rubric based on the assignment, the different student responses, and also the conversation that's going on around the table as we're norming together. We will probably be contacting you this week and early next week to schedule your practice norming session, probably by the end of the first week of November. The first full week of November, we will have met with your group to practice norming. And what is the purpose of norming during the analysis year? This is where we begin to start closing the loop, as it's called, as we're looking at the data that's come in from implement year and trying to determine if your group will revise the assignment for a future round with the scope. And then we'll also start to talk about how the assignment will be relevant to you as an individual instructor and as a group of instructors teaching the same course, to make sure that the way that your group has decided the SLO will be measured, let me step back, implemented, and then also measured in the course in future courses, that's happening the way that you want it to include all the instructors teaching that course in that conversation. So after the norming practice, we will have an opportunity to score the assignments separately. Each instructor will do that individually and submit the data to the critical thinking team. We have a little lack of clarity on how we will collect that data, and not to sound like we're disorganized, but the SLC has moved away from using its data analysis program Illumin, and so we're sort of back to using either D2L, which the SLC has tested and knows will work for this data collection and analysis, or Excel spreadsheets. So we'll let you know very soon what the committee has decided on the way that the data will be collected and input. And this slide is showing you that you'll get a copy of the assignment very soon, and a reminder that it should be implemented in your course, either the 10th or the 11th week of your course, and we'll communicate how you'll be submitting the data to us. And so this means you'll get to use the rubric on your own, but with that history of practicing during the norming session. And you'll submit that to us, and the deadline for the submission, as you see on the slide, is Friday, November 30th. Thank you for listening to our presentation on how this year will work, and even a little context on where we've been. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Tom or me to get the information that you need. Thank you.